I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong?
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I was always taught to respect my elders. It's getting harder and harder to find any. This is not E-Person Monday. For those of you who are semi-regular listeners, you know that on Mondays, generally, I concentrate on answering some of the emails, e-persons, that we get. Today is U-Person Monday. Every so often, we will do a call-in show on a Monday or a Friday because there are people that, for whatever the reason, because of their schedule or work or kids, whatever it might be, they can call in. And so this Monday, today, is call-in. So we're going to give you the number. 877-573-7825, 877-57-EQUAL, if you would like to be part of the program. You have a question about something going on in your life, you'd like to help somebody else out, you hear a call and say, you know what, I navigated my life through that, I'm going to tell them what I did. If you have a generic question, something you don't understand about psychology, emotions, even society, really, I never thought this would happen to me when I was in grad school. I thought, okay, going to get out of grad school, going to go into an office, go into a mental health center, see people, deal with personal problems. And I never foresaw the radical shifts in our culture from when I was young that are altering people's stability and feeling of predictability, calmness, anxiety-freeness, all of that stuff. So much is happening in the culture, and so much is happening that you're aware of. See, there's the big difference. Culture's always been kind of sinful, but now you're really aware of it. For most of human history, you only knew what was going on in your clan, your family, your tribe. That was it. Now, you can hear every bad thing everywhere, anyhow, at all times. So, you have questions about that and how it interacts with your own faith, your own life, give me a call. 877-57-EQUAL is the number to call. We'd certainly like to talk with you today on this non-E-Person Monday. Some thanks are in order. Had a wonderful week perusing Nebraska at the behest and the wonderful staff support of KVSS 102.7 Spirit Radio, all throughout Nebraska. They got a boatload of stations, 20-plus stations. Signals. I started out in Council's Bluff, then went over to North Platte, then Hastings, then finished up in Lincoln. It was a wonderful week. Thank you all so very much for your hospitality, your warmth. The food, that's pretty good. We always had a meet and greet with food. I now weigh 235. No longer going to try to lose weight. That's too hard. I'm going to work at getting taller. My second book was a book called Back to the Family. We interviewed parents nominated by National State Teachers of the Year as strong parents. What was it about their family life that led to these very admirable kids? And then we interviewed the kids, too, where we could. The older kids gave us a lot of good stuff, good material for the book. One of the things we were talking about in the communication chapter, we asked the kids, what do your parents do that you don't like? Now, these were not unstable, neglectful abusive families. These were good families. And the number one thing that the kids said they didn't like was lecture. I had my first experience with a lecture with my oldest son, Andrew. Came home one day. My wife was noticeably, visibly, somewhat upset. And I was wondering what was going on. I said, honey, are you upset? I said, I'm trained. I'm trained to pick up those things. And she said, it's Andrew. I breathed a sigh of relief because I was worried that I had done something wrong while I was gone. What's going on with Andrew? Well, he lied to me, so I sent him to his bed. Now, gentlemen, I want to give you a little marriage tidbit here. It's very important. If your wife is a mom who has the privilege and the decision to stay at home with the children, be there. Not like TV, not like movies that only say the value of a woman is if she's the head of some organization. Everything I watch, not only are the women the bosses over the men, but the only valuable life for a woman is away from the home. And, of course, you have to be able to beat up. You have to be physically stronger and more powerful than any guy whatsoever. So that's just this thing. So if you have a stay-at-home mom, keep in mind the culture doesn't value her. She has to get her own value from inside. And also because she knows God values that. So here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to come home, find out there was shenanigans or trouble, and then you convey the message without speaking. I'm here now. The problem will be solved correctly. So I said, honey, you want me to talk to Andrew? She said, sure. I went upstairs, and Andrew was laying in bed, staring at the ceiling. I said, Andrew, Mom says you lied. He said, I don't remember. Andrew, if Mom said you lied, you lied. Now, I'm only going to ask you one more time, son. If you lie to me now, you got two lies. Did you lie? I still don't remember. But if Mom said I did, there's probably a pretty good chance I did. Now, that boy right now is an engineer. Saw this coming. It's a true story, by the way. And that's what he said. So I figured, okay, it's time. This aspect of dadhood, lecture, instruct my son morally, virtuously, has come upon me. And I was ready for it. Oh yeah, I was ready for it. So I said, Andrew, would you look at me, please? And I began. I talked about lying, what it does to trust. I talked about my own childhood and when I lied to my dad and how long it took me to regain that trust. I talked about how important your word was, that if you lie once, even when you're telling the truth other times, people can't be sure because you've already lied. I mean, I covered every base. I went on minute after minute after minute after minute. I could feel it. Our souls were locking. This was my moment of fatherhood. I was peaking. Peaking as in P-E-A-K-I-N-G. I knew that someday, God willing, 30-plus years hence, we'd all be sitting at a Thanksgiving table, and Andrew would interrupt the talk and say, I'd like to share something with somebody, and I've never really told this to anybody. I was 6 years old. Dad came up, and he did something that I'll never, ever forget. And I think it started me on the direction of what I most value today. And I just would sit and glow. Yeah, that's what I knew would happen. So at the end of my mini speech, I looked at Andrew. I said, Andrew, anything you want to say, son? Yeah. Sure, go ahead. Hey, Dad, if my one eye looks at the ceiling and my other eye looks at the floor, how come I can't do that? It occurred to me that somewhere in my virtue talk, I lost that boy. I can't prove it, but I think it was when I said, Andrew, would you look at me, please? Where does the drive come from? For us parents, that we just want to keep going because we think we're going to connect. We're going to find some way to get it across to them. If we just approach all these different angles, they're going to go, oh, yes, I see it now, Father. Had you stopped at 28 minutes, I don't think I would have gotten the point. But 14 more minutes, and it registered. Thank you. Now, I'm not saying you don't explain yourself. And I'm not saying you don't give reasons for why you're doing what you're doing and that you're not bucking for Tyrant Parent Decade of the Year award. I'm saying that as you go on and drone, look for the cues. See if they're drifting off into unconsciousness. See if they're picking their nose. See what they're doing that more or less tells you, I'm tuning out. I'm leaving. What could I have done with Andrew? Well, after a few brief comments about lying, I could have said, Andrew, Mom sent you to bed because you lied, son. And I'm going to have her keep you here longer because you lied. That's what happens when you lie. It's a bad thing. I don't know. Was that about a minute? Now, he could have still asked, hey, Dad, how come if my one eye looks at the ceiling, my other eye can't look at the floor? He could have still asked that. But at least I wouldn't have had 12 minutes of thinking. He was just locked in to my reasoning, my parental wisdom. 877-573-7825. Give me a call. I would love to talk with you. This is not E-Person Monday. This is You-Person Monday. I want to take your questions. Be delighted to speak with you about stuff in your life, kids, family, job, stress, religion, faith, struggles, or if you got an insight to give us, we'll take it. I'm Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
I've had times in my life when I found it extremely difficult to forgive someone who I believed wronged me. Then I started to notice the anguish, anger, and pain in others who were holding on to past hurts, and I had an epiphany moment. I did not want to be one of them. Not only could they not forgive the hurt, but they also lamented over the situation for years. The old saying goes, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I started a new routine. I began to offer up the Eucharist at Mass to the person who hurt me the most. For several months, I offered it up to one person. Then for years, it was another, until I no longer felt anything negative about that person. I let the pain go, and I let God take over through the body and blood of Christ. I'm not sure what that prayer did for the other people I focused on during communion, but I do know it brought me peace. This has been a Christ-Centered Communication Message. I'm Vanessa Denhagarmo, Communications Evangelist and host of Epiphany.
When women are faced with an unexpected pregnancy, Arbor Woman Health offers free medical-grade pregnancy tests, counseling, and same-day ultrasounds. But they can't protect the sacredness of life without your ongoing support. Join them for their 2025 Flourish fundraiser dinner on Friday, June 13th at 5:30 p.m. at St. John's Resort in Plymouth. Visit arborwoman.com to purchase tickets or become a corporate sponsor today.
Thank you for joining me here. Dr. Ray Guarendi, program The Doctor is In, co-production, Ave Maria Radio Communications, and EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. By the way, this is not ePerson Monday. This is a live program. Well, ePerson's a live program too, but I'm addressing emails that I get. Today, we're dispensing with that and taking your calls at 877-573-7825. Situation in your life that is perplexing you or frustrating you. Situation where you go, well, I think I handled it right, but let's see what this guy has to say on the radio, this Roy Ganudi. Or you've got a situation that you think should bother you but doesn't, and you're wondering, hey, I'm pretty indifferent toward this. Or, if indeed you have a question generically. I love generic questions. I really, really do. Generic questions, stuff like, Dr. Ray, is there really such a thing as hypnotic regression? Going back into a previous life? How does that work? Or, Dr. Ray, we got into a major argument the other day over pseudosciensis. And it's come up so many times, it's really threatened our family stability. Yeah, I know pseudosciensis can do that. Dr. Ray, what are night terrors? Dr. Ray, if I had more faith, would I be less depressed? Dr. Ray, what about the whole idea that you can get along with everybody if you try hard enough? All of that. Anything generic. 877-573-7825. Let's go to Debbie. Debbie from Nebraska. Hi, Debbie.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I love your show.
Well, thank you for calling, and thank you even more for telling me how much you love me. I think that's even nicer, really.
Everybody needs to hear that.
I'd have taken you quicker if I'd have known you were going to say that.
Oh, no worries. I didn't think I had to wait long at all.
Well, you don't have an easy situation here.
No, I don't, and I don't know what to do.
You are not
my
in your.
My husband doesn't want me.
You're not in your own home?
No.
Where are you?
I'm living in an apartment in the same town, so I could be close to my family, because I didn't leave them, they left me.
The only way you have 3 grown children, I saw it up there with Eric's summary, the only way all 3 of them would be angry at you is that somehow they must think either, one, you're responsible, or that your husband has convinced them what a witch you are.
And I think it's a little both, to be honest. We were having some issues with our marriage, and my husband had decided to go a whole different way than, I guess, what we had decided as a team. And he has basically chosen his family over our marriage. And it did create quite a struggle for us. And he said, basically, take it or leave it. And I was going to go stay with a friend for a while, came back, and the locks were changed on the door. Now, in the meantime, we're in a small town. There's rumors floating all over the place. And, of course, as rumors go, they snowball, and things got really ugly. And my oldest, who lives in a different town, confronted me a couple of times, attacked me, I guess I should say. And to the point where I didn't even want to live anymore. It was horrible. And they blame me for these things that I did not do. But it's my word against the town, I guess.
Debbie, all three of these...
The oldest one is leading the other two. And telling them that I'm a horrible person because he knows everything. He's been kind of a stubborn kid since day one.
The other two are listening. All right.
Yes. Okay. And I do believe
you have one worry here, Debbie. You really only have one worry. Well, you have many worries, but the big worry is any of it true? If it's not true, okay, well then your best judgment, your most objective as you can be subjective judgment, if it's not true, then the only way you're going to have peace is to recognize that anybody can turn on you.
Yeah, obviously.
Sure. And given that, what's your plan to go forward from here? Is it essentially your husband says, that's it, the marriage is over, I'm filing for divorce, the kids are saying, don't talk to me? Is that where it stands right now?
Pretty much nobody is talking to me. My husband's family has kind of all rallied together and won't have anything to do with me. And even attempts to talk and have a calm conversation and explain. You know, they told me these rumors were going around. I never even heard them.
So you're being accused. Obviously, this is a very complex situation, Debbie. So I'm just trying to get down to a nugget of something we can talk about. You're being accused of doing something you didn't do, and not only your kids and your husband, but your small community is vibrating all in the same direction. What a wretched woman she is.
Yep.
Okay. So where do you go from here?
I mean, I've got obviously my friends. I've got my friends who are very supportive, and they know what's been going on. And in order to establish an alibi, I have asked my family to please reach out to other people, and they won't. It's like they almost don't want to hear the truth.
Okay. So where are you going to go from here? You can't convince anybody. Can't convince your kids. You can't convince your spouse. At least at this point, where do you go from here?
Right now, what I'm doing is staying as close to them as I possibly can.
Okay.
I let them know I'm here. I'm here when they want to talk. But I guess I just don't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you're saying, how do I convince them, how do I reach them, that's a tough question because they don't want to be convinced and they don't want to be reached, at least right now. Right. So your hope is that some things are going to change, some truth is going to come out, find out, oh, they were premature in their judgments, they were harsh in their judgments, they were wrong in their judgments. You hope that. How long was the marriage?
I pray about that all the time. Well, we've been married for 30 years, and I don't consider that over. Okay. But I've tried to set up date nights, times for us to sit down and talk, and he avoids me every time.
You may have to just quietly keep a low profile.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you approach it, the angrier they get.
That's true.
That's the hardest thing to do, is to back off.
Mm-hmm.
When your honest attempts to reconcile are getting slapped down. Mm-hmm. The hardest thing to do is to say, okay, for the meantime, I will just keep a very low profile. I will do everything that I can to have peace in my life, even though they have seemed intent on taking away that peace. Oh, God bless you, Debbie. Man, oh man, what a situation. Stand strong. Ask God for some loads of grace, which I'm sure you have. 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number. This is Dr. Ray. We got calls, and I will get to all of you. Yeah, irony of life. By the time you're old enough to know your way around, you don't want to go anywhere. 60's new 40, but 9 is the new midnight. Let's talk to Heather from Tulsa, 24 hours from Tulsa, as the song says. Hello, Heather.
Hello.
Thanks for the call.
Hi, Dr. Ray.
Thank you, dear.
I have a son that just recently came to me about his relationship with his girlfriend. And just to give you some background information, he is divorced from his first wife, which is really a good thing in the family's eyes. She was not very good. But he's got this girlfriend that's really a neat girl. I like her. But he has confided into me that he, when she goes to work, he worries that a guy's going to take her from him. And that he had the same problem with his first wife and then, other girlfriends he's had. And so they went to counseling last Wednesday, just to a therapist. And the therapist right up front said, you probably need to be on medication. And I just wonder, is that the best route for him to handle trust issues that he has with this new girlfriend and with anybody, but is it always a good solution? Get on a drug. He's not practicing his faith right now. And because that's one thing he said to me, I know, Mom, you think I should be going to church and that would fix everything. I didn't say anything, but I just listened to him. But anyways, I just want your opinion, your professional opinion. Is it always best to be on drugs in order to deal with your problems?
Well, Heather, one of my cardinal rules on this program is I will never second-guess a therapist, because only the therapist knows what is going on. I guess I would wonder what your son said to the therapist and why the therapist recommended. Now, typically, the therapist would have had to have referred your son to an MD, a psychiatrist, to get the medication. I'm assuming the therapist was not a psychiatrist. Is that true?
You're correct. You're correct. They did say, it was a lady, she said that you have to go to a psychiatrist, which he is trying to locate one.
Okay. Maybe you could ask your son, what do you think it was that you told your therapist that they thought medication would be appropriate? If it was only that I worry about my girlfriend meeting someone else, and you have to assume that in that session, the girlfriend probably said, I'm not interested in anybody else, you're not going to lose me to anybody else. And if your son said, but I can't get that thought out of my mind, it torments me, it keeps me awake. In other words, he was borderline irrational and perhaps even kind of paranoid. I don't know, I'm just speculating. If he did that...
Well, it's funny you say that, because he did say that. He told me that. He says, I spiraled out of control.
Well, she's probably then suggesting meds because of the extent of his thinking, that she's wondering if, in fact, it is so irrational that it is flirting with losing contact with reality. Okay? That would be the most common reason that she might say that. If it's only trust issues, I don't know too many therapists that would say, okay, you got to have medication to straighten out your trust issues. Now, he could have told her, I can't sleep. He could have told her, I'm so depressed. He could have told her all kinds of things where she would have said, okay, it sounds like medication will help you. Now, all that said, is my experience that we are really, really too quick to jump onto medication. Absolutely no doubt. Medication, For example, I'll give you a small statistic. I read a recent survey. 30% of adult women are on some kind of medication. 30%. That's off the charts. So, yeah, I think we point to a pill very, very quickly. Many times, and one of the areas where antidepressant medication is faulty is that it doesn't work anywhere near as much as people think it does, over and above placebo. It works somewhat, a little bit over and above placebo, but it is not the cure-all that people think it is. So you're right. There's two things. One, what did he tell the therapist? Maybe he'll tell you. And two, what did the therapist say that he was experiencing that she recommended a consult with a psychiatrist?
Okay.
And then, hopefully he'll get to the point where if he has no reason to think that his girlfriend is going to meet someone else and dump him, if he has no reason for that, and if he admits it, he said, I got no reason, but I care for her so much that I'm just shaken to my core thinking that if that would happen, I couldn't deal with it. Now, if that's
exactly what he said.
Okay. Well, if that's what's going on, then he's going to have to explore that to realize that that is going to be probably the best way that he can push her away.
Okay.
Because if she can't feel confident that he trusts her, then that lack of trust is going to show up in questioning her, in saying, you're 6 minutes late, where were you? In checking into her phone, maybe gone to work. Who knows how far that insecurity will go, but it certainly can mess up a relationship with no evidence. Thanks, Heather.
You know, when my
go ahead.
When my husband died, I took him to a grief counselor, and they wanted to put him on medication. So maybe that is the best route.
Yeah, who knows what he's telling him? Who knows what he's telling him? I would have to wonder if he's telling him that he's seriously depressed. Ask him.
Okay.
What are you telling your counselor that they think this? It certainly isn't just, I'm nervous about losing my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, dear. Thanks for the call, Heather. You take good care. This is Dr. Ray. We still got time. I'm going to get to your calls. 877-573-7825. Bottom of the program. A lot of people call it the bottom of the program. Again, the rule is this. We certainly do take calls on the basis of where they land in the show. However, anytime you can be first in line for several reasons. One, because we haven't dealt with that issue. You disagree with me. That's a big one. I'll put you right in front. So you want to get on the air right away quick, just call in and say how I'm wrong. And Andrew, if that's my wife, just tell her she's called in many times before to tell me I'm wrong. So don't take the call. 877-57-EQUAL. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Ray. Nice to have you. Let's go to Therese from Massachusetts. And Eric, I am impressed that you spelled out Massachusetts. Simple way to do it would have just put M-A, but no, you spelled it out. Impressive. You spelled it right, too. Did you do spell check? Hi, Therese.
Hi, Dr. Ray.
Thanks for the call. What's going on?
Yeah, so I was calling because my sister's having to deal with her son, who's in his 20s. She lives in Florida. He lives in Massachusetts. He's calling her and texting her kind of delusional things, saying that she cheated with his friend.
Oh, boy.
My sister's married, and it's not true. And I think he just has a lot of resentments. But the bottom line is he's very angry with her, and she's very worried that he's going to try to kill himself because in his youth days, he had tried or was thought or there was talk, and he has been on marijuana and maybe some psychedelics recently, the psychedelics. So whatever the case is, she has asked me for advice, and I'm like, you can only pray about it. You tell him you didn't do it, and there's nothing you can do. My other sister, however, who's had issues with personality disorder kind of things, has tried killing herself. And when she asked for advice from her, she says, well, I did try killing myself. I'm sorry that I burdened you guys. So my sister feels like she has to intervene. And I feel like I'm not helpful and she's not happy with me, and I don't know what to say.
Well, which one feels that she has to intervene? The one with the son or the other sister that's... Okay, the one with the son.
I think both. I think both.
And they don't like the fact that you're just saying you can't do a whole lot about this.
Right. They feel like I'm Dr. Philling them.
Okay. Ask your sister, what do you think you can do about this? If, in fact, he is delusional, then it's probably happening within the context of a broader psychological breakdown.
Oh, yeah, he's getting help on Monday, hopefully seeing a therapist. We hope, we think.
Okay, this might be similar to our previous call where if this therapist reads what he's saying as delusional, he's going to recommend some kind of antipsychotic medication. So that may be... How old is this?
He's in his 20s.
Okay, he's in his 20s and he wants no part of that.
Yeah, he's in the past has done his research and he's very much against it. He's either bipolar or his friend is lying to him because his friends have never done him good and he needs to get away from them friends. Either way, he's very angry at my sister and just has a lot of resentment.
Does he live in the same town?
No.
So her only contact with him is going to be over the phone?
Yeah.
Does he pick up?
He only texts her.
Okay. So he's keeping her at arm's distance.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can ask her, what do you want to do about this? She says, well, I don't want him to commit suicide. Well, neither do I. But if he won't let you talk with him at all, other than just texts, do you think that's his way of saying, I'm going to do what I want, leave me alone? Is it? I don't know.
Yep.
Okay. So, sadly, tragically, when people can become mentally ill, which means their thinking is neurologically impaired, they don't recognize often that they're mentally ill. And they don't want any kind of intervention. And that's tragic. It's terribly tragic.
Yeah.
So the sister who attempted suicide is saying to you, you don't know what it's like. I lived that way, and that's what happened to me. So you can't just sit over there and say pray. Now, my guess would be your sister's probably not very religious either.
Did you say my sister's not very religious?
Right.
Oh, she's very religious. The one that attempted suicide? Yes, she's very religious.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. So I'm assuming that suicidal ideation has not been a part of her in her religion, or no, she was very religious when she was contemplating suicide?
I think she's very religious now, and then when she contemplated suicide, maybe she wasn't.
Okay. Well, that's encouraging anyway, so maybe that's the best defense against her revisiting that mindset. At this point, you can ask your sister with the son, what would you think I could do? Get her to answer this. Ask her, what do you think you can do? Well, I'm thinking I'm going to go visit him. Okay. So go visit him. Well, I don't know what to tell him. Well, you'll have to find out exactly how he's thinking about you. But it sounds like he's hostile towards his mom. Is he?
Yeah. I think he is. He just visited me and my sister all together because we had an event, and he came at me about something, and it was out of the blue, and he just seems just angry, and I think he's trying to, I don't know, come after other people so he doesn't have to deal with his own problems, but that's me, psychobabbling.
Well, the other thing could be here, Therese, is that if he is irrationally accusing people on the basis of no evidence, and he clings to that, it may be indication that his thinking is slipping.
Yeah.
And that psychotropic medication would be very helpful, and maybe his mother could somehow, some way persuade him to do that if he allows her to. But at this point, I think you're in a situation where the only way that you can extricate yourself is to ask, what do you think I can do? What would you want me to do? Well, you need to go visit him. I can't do that. That's not possible. Well, you need to contact him. Well, he won't answer me. So of our options, what do I got left? I hope your religious sister is a little charitable and forgiving of you for whatever you did wrong that she thinks you did wrong, when in fact you may have done nothing wrong. These are the toughest ones of all, Therese. These are the ones where you got young adults who are saying, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I could highly risk my life, and you people stay out of it.
Yeah.
That's as long as we do not have the ability to commit someone against their will, unless they're dangerous or there are very narrow conditions that we are allowed to actually commit them against their will, it's the situation where we have to stand by sometimes and say, oh boy, Therese, I got two tough ones in a row here. Holy mackerel. And you know the interesting thing, if you would have come into my office, and I get these kind of questions in my office. A lot of parents come in my office because they've got these young adults that are either mentally ill or having written their parents off. And the young adults are essentially saying, get out of my life. Leave me alone. And I have to try to bring some peace to these adults when that is the situation. Thank you, Therese. This is Dr. Ray.
The Wine Palace in Livonia is a proud sponsor of Ave Maria Radio. The Wine Palace is a family-owned business for over 60 years where customers come in for a great service. The 9,000 square foot store includes a humidor, specialty wine room, and a rare and collectible spirits room. We have the largest selection of spirits in the state at the most competitive prices. Ask for one of the brothers, Cliff or Kelly, and thank them for their strong support of Catholic Radio. Delivery is available. Please visit the Wine Palace at I-96 in Middlebelt or at winepalacemi.com.
Hello, Steve Ray here from Footprints of God Pilgrimages. Want to celebrate some amazing anniversaries this year in France? We'll visit Normandy Beach to celebrate our heroic military for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Also, the 100th anniversary of the canonization of St. Therese of Lisieux. Join us this October for our Saints and Shrines of France and a visit to the newly renovated Notre Dame Cathedral.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at avemariaradio.net.
Welcome to Advanced Dentistry Center family. This is Dr. Metti, and our team strives to treat you like family in a loving and compassionate way as we focus on serving you in a Christ-like manner. We do this by emphasizing prevention and general well-being for a lifetime. Our private practice is small, personal, state-of-the-art, and innovative, with the goal to educate and motivate our patients in improving their oral health. It is through a partnership with you that you will achieve the goals for your smile. Advanced Dentistry is serious about the level of care we provide, with attention to details and an exceptional level of care, skill, and judgment. We are thrilled for the opportunity to serve you.
Dr. Matty and the team invite you to visit them at AdvancedDentistryCenter.com or call them at 248-594-9592. That's 248-594-9592. AdvancedDentistryCenter.com.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. We did not do E-Person Monday today. We did U-Person Monday, and I thank you folks for the calls. Taking one more, Bishop, not an actual bishop, that's his name, from Montana. Hi, Bishop. Boy, I'll get nervous when I say that, because when I say hi, Bishop, usually when I'm at a conference, I'll say hi, Bishop, because the bishop's there. But this is, I've got to make sure you're not a bishop. But you are a bishop, sort of.
Definitely not a bishop.
Sir, you might want to turn your radio off, because I'm hearing me twice, so if I say something dumb, I will be double dumb. I'm dumbing down. All right,
How you doing today, Dr. A?
Well, nothing gaining on me. What's new with you?
Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. First time caller here.
Hey, I'm first time listening to you. I'm not nervous.
Right on. No, so recently and when I say recently, just over the Easter Vigil, went through OCIA and became a Catholic.
That's pretty recent.
And yeah, it's pretty recent. Yeah, for sure. And, when I was going through OCIA and afterwards I was riding this high, like everything was going great. And, and now that everything's kind of settled down, I'm really struggling with lust again, which has always kind of been a struggle for me. And, coming into OCIA, that's something I definitely wanted to get away from, because that's just not the life I wanted to live anymore. And I just wanted to know if you had any advice on what I could do or anything, really.
Well, the first thing is, I think you're misunderstanding what it meant to become Catholic. You're figuring, okay, I found this wonderful truth. There's so much appealing about it, so many chances to get help and grace. This stuff should go away from me. Leave me alone. I won't have to wrestle with it anywhere near as hard as I used to. And when you were on the emotional high, you probably felt pretty confident. Yeah, okay, that's happening just like I drew it up.
Right, exactly.
But then you sort of got back to who you are, who we all are, struggling with sin, and you said, oh, man, this ain't helping like I thought it would help. What is this? Maybe I'm a lost cause. Maybe being Catholic isn't even enough to straighten me out. Now, if you're thinking like that, you're going to despair, my friend. Here's a way to look at it. The lust isn't quickly going to go away, most likely. What'll be different is that you will be able to go to confession, you will feel clean, and you will continue to go to confession. You won't say to yourself, what good's it doing going to confession? I turn around and do the same thing. Well, welcome to the club, my friend. Welcome to the club. The one advantage you have is that obvious sense of forgiveness. And the fact that God's going to give you some strength that maybe you didn't have access to before. So you look at it differently. Here's what you say. You say, okay, I still got this internal struggle. However, now that I'm Catholic, I've got some things that can help me here. I got confession. I got praying the rosary. I got Mass. I got the Eucharist. I got all kinds of stuff. All kinds of things, good things, that can give me strength. Now, how fast will they give me strength? See, here's where you're making your mistake, Bishop. Because you're thinking, boy, I'll tell you what, my friend, every time I say that, if I go, here's where you're making your mistake, Bishop, I get this queasy feeling, like I'm talking to a bishop, and I'm going, here's where you're making your mistake, Bishop. Oh, I'm going to get struck by lightning. Here's what I think you're misguiding yourself. It isn't happening as fast as you thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely correct. Sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, you know, I do have this, I guess, thought, this notion, like, you know, I'm on the winning side now. You know, God's in my life. Like, anything's possible with Him, and of course it is. It's just, yeah, you're 100% right. It's like, why am I still struggling with this? It's like
you're still struggling because we're all sinners, and that's why we go to confession constantly. And you resolve each time. Try to get past it as best you can, and you slip again. You know, there's one of my favorite quotes. A saint is a sinner who got up one more time than he fell. Call me back, Bishop. I'll give you another shot in the arm. Walk with God.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.